place where calm people move slowly and carefully, where the math of dust and masks unfolds at an unhurried pace. If this gentle corner helps you unwind, you can like this video and subscribe, so more soft science can keep you company whenever you wish. And you can float through our Sleepy Science playlist linked in the description if you want a soothing stream to carry you along. How sleepy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Imagine yourself standing just outside the first door. The corridor is quiet, almost padded with silence, and even your steps seem to be absorbed by the floor. There is a faint clean scent, like rain rinsed through a filter, not sharp, not chemical, simply neutral and new. In front of you, a bench, a line on the floor, a small sign that reminds you which side is where you begin and which side is where you try to go. The sign does not scold. It is simply there, patient as a clock that never hurries. The gentle rhythm continues. Before you, the shift begins with small, deliberate gestures. You place one foot on a sticky mat and feel the muted pull as it lifts particles from your soles. Then the other foot, a quiet step, a pause, the soft lift again, as if the mat is whispering, I will take this speck, and I will let that one go, and together we will keep the ledger calm. A ledger, yes, because here, in this world of steady light and soft humming, everything is counted in a peaceful arithmetic. Every speck is a number. Every fabric fiber is a line on a page. The gentle rhythm continues, and you breathe slowly, pleasantly aware of how unhurried these steps are. On the other side of the bench, you begin to collect the layers. A hair cover, smooth and light, gliding over scalp and ears. A hood to cradle your head and neck. The soft fold of a beard cover if you need it. A tiny cloud of fabric shaped only to sit and stay. Each layer is made with fibers that do not shed, woven not to fray, as if the cloth itself has agreed to be quiet. Your hands find a face mask, one that fits gently over the nose and mouth. Its surface seems still, but the web inside it is a silent forest of fibers, a place where tiny particles wander and become lost, guided by diffusion and chance and the lightest touch. There is no rush. You smooth the bridge across your nose, you tuck the edges softly against your cheeks, and the mask settles like a calm thought held in place by memory. You slip on a coverall, the fabric like a soft shell, not heavy, not tight, just precise. It whispers as you move, the sound of fabric that has forgotten how to crackle. Then the booties, one foot and then the other, elastic offering a gentle embrace to keep everything in. Gloves follow, one pair and then another, two quiet layers to keep the world large whisk of air is another line in the ledger, another claim that loose fibers and stray dust can let go and drift away. You turn slowly, arms held just a little away from your body, feeling the small push of air like a barely felt coastal wind in miniature. The gentle rhythm continues. Now you are inside the clean room proper. The light here is cool and even. The walls do not draw attention to themselves. They are bright, but not glaring, calmly reflective, like still water under an overcast morning. The ceiling wears the tidy pattern of filters that breathe and breathe. Each square hosts a HEPA filter, or perhaps a ULPA panel, devices with names that sound like quiet promises. Their mathematics is steady, a HEPA filter capturing nearly all of the tiniest wandering particles, even those around 3/10 of a micron, the size that is most skillful at slipping through, held anyway by a weave that seems to have planned for them. ULPA filters capture even more, a slightly stricter librarian at a quieter library. Air slips down from these panels in laminar streams that do not tumble or swirl much. Instead, they drift downward in parallel layers, untroubled and consistent, a calm rain of molecules that always falls the same way. When you look across the room, you notice how little the air seems to be doing. It simply drifts, about half a meter each second, a pace not far from a slow walk turned into a whisper. That steady downward motion is the clean room's quiet habit. It keeps particles from hanging around and finding mischief. It carries everything toward the floor and into return vents that wait patiently to collect, to recirculate, to pass the air again through filters, to let it fall once more, fresh and smooth with every gentle cycle. The gentle rhythm continues, and the entire room seems to breathe in a count you can feel in your shoulders. At one corner, a small screen blinks soft numbers. This is a particle counter, an instrument that listens to the airy murmur by shining a thin beam of light through a curated sip of air. Particles pass through the beam, and the machine notes the little twinkles of scattering, turning light into numbers, numbers into calm verdicts, backlit digits shifting by ones and twos and tens. It tells you how many tiny motes have passed by in a certain time, and at what sizes, and whether the room is as quiet as it should be. Clean rooms are organized into classes, a taxonomy of hush. Semiconductors may require very strict classes where almost no particles drift free, while other tasks are content with a little more. The room does not brag about this. It simply holds to its numbers and accepts them, the way a tide accepts the lunar pull without giving speeches. You find your work area beneath a section of laminar flow, where the cleanest air pours downward in a selfless, steady stream. The bench is smooth, surfaces simple and easy to purify. Each object has edges designed not to trap dust, corners rounded not to harbour stray lint. There is a bottle of isopropyl diluted to a safe balance, and a stack of lint-free wipes that feel like condensed mist. You touch one gently, feeling the slightly cool, almost papery softness, and you imagine the way the fibers have been arranged so they do not shed, the edges heat-sealed to remain quiet. The gentle rhythm rises and fades almost immediately, a scent that does not shout, a scent that steps quietly into the air and then steps out again, like a visitor who knows how to leave a room without disturbing its furniture. Your task for this shift is precise and unhurried. It could be assembling delicate components or preparing sterile containers. It could be handling fragile sensors. It could be combining elements that must never meet dust. No matter the task, the melody is the same. Gently, place things where the air is most calm. Coordinate your motion with the downward flow, never blocking it more than you must, never creating sudden swirls with sweeping arms. Every movement is rounded and slow, each glide of the hand rehearsed, a ballet created not for applause, but for a quiet outcome. Nothing extra, nothing unnecessary, just the perfect zero of absence where particles wish to be. Masks play their part in this gentle arithmetic. Beneath that web of fibers, your breath becomes part of the room's balance. When you inhale, the mask rests against your skin with a soft inward touch. When you exhale, a small cushion of air presses outward, its trajectory diverted and filtered, transformed into a quieter set of molecules that can mingle safely with the streams descending from above. The mask removes much of the dust carried in breath and in moisture, not by catching everything like a net with obvious holes, but by using a subtle combination of impaction, interception, and diffusion. The particles behave differently at different sizes. Some move like little stones that bump and lodge. Some drift like dandelion seeds and brush against fibers. Some wander in random patterns and are quietly persuaded to stay. The gentle rhythm continues. You feel the mask as a companion rather than a barrier, a soft collaborator in the arithmetic. You think about how a person can be a generator without meaning to be. A small rub at the cuff can release a microburst of invisible lint. A quick step can lift a shadow of dust from the floor. Even a gesture creates air currents that can carry tiny debris, and every degree of speed multiplies that potential. This is why the room rewards slowness. This is why your hands move with care, as if they were guiding a cup of still water. In this space, slowness is not delay, it is control. It is a way to subtract from the sums that might grow once unnoticed. Some places in the room are more protected than others. Under a laminar flow hood, the air is the calmest. The curtain of downward moving molecules gently sweeps away any particles created by your hands before they can settle. At times you may see a plastic curtain that hangs like a clear veil, reminding air in a tactile way where it is expected to go. The sound here is constant, a low, ceaseless hush like faraway rain. Above the hood, filters drink the room's breath and give it back, cleaned and cooled. Below, the perforated surface accepts the air and returns it to the cycle. It is easy to settle into this rhythm. The gentle rhythm continues. There is a schedule for gloves and masks, not because they are fragile, but because the arithmetic appreciates regularity. Moisture from breath accumulates slowly. Oils from skin, even through gloves, may find a way to travel over time. The quiet rules say, change your so often, always in the same direction. The people here do not raise their voices. They do not need to. Speech itself can be a tiny source of particles, and there is something simply agreeable about communicating softly. You speak near the mask, your words absorbed and soothed, or you nod and use a small gesture. A finger traces a tiny motion in the air to indicate a plan. A hand tilts to say, "After you." A glance and an unhurried blink confirm mutual understanding. The room rewards this with numbers that remain low and peaceful. The screen with the particle counts calmly continues its monochrome tide of digits, ticking upward at a measured pace, then pausing, then quietly resetting. It is an instrument that enjoys the background. It is the rare device that celebrates nothing much happening at all. Sometimes the work includes weighing powders that must not travel. The draft shield on the balance offers a small walled sanctuary. You lift it gently. The pan is polished and still. You place the container with 2 hands to avoid a sudden tilt. You wait. You let the reading settle, the digits rocking gently before they find their home. You record the value, not in haste, but in a hand that enjoys forming careful numerals. You close the shield again, and the balance hums a little less, satisfied that its precise world remains undisturbed. The gentle rhythm continues as you carry the container back to its streaming island of air, where it will be sealed and labelled with a label that holds fast and refuses to shed confetti. At other times, you may clean and prepare instruments that need consistent care. Tweezers are polished and checked. A lens is wiped from center outward with a new wipe, a drop of solvent creating a nearly invisible arc that fades as it travels and leaves behind nothing but clarity. Cables are routed in gentle curves, placed where they will not create hidden eddies in the air. Sharp corners are softened with small, neat bends. Each detail looks inward and outward, both to avoid creating dust and to remain easy to clean again. The entire space prefers simplicity. The gentle rhythm continues. There is a clock in the clean room, but you do not need it to tell you much. Time here is recorded in changes of tasks and layers of quiet deeds. You notice when the particle counter moves a little more than usual, and you trace in your mind what could have invited those numbers to rise. A door opened more slowly, perhaps. A new box unwrapped, carefully but still willing to perturb the air. A needed adjustment that caused a brief swirl. Then the numbers calm again, like a flock briefly startled and then resettled. You imagine the arithmetic as a ledger in soft pencil with a gentle eraser, a tally that is always up to date and never scolding. The science beneath your calm habits is simple in its intention and careful in its detail. Particles do not all behave the same way. The tiniest ones, not much larger than the wavelengths of visible light, dance with the random jitter of the world's thermal energy, a delicate wandering called diffusion that masks handle with a kind of benevolent patience. Mid-sized particles drift along streamlines and brush against fibers, hugging and staying. Larger particles are persuaded by inertia. They do not turn as easily when the air turns, and they meet a fiber and are crushes its guests. Air itself can carry static charges. Certain materials pull charges to their surface and hold them in a calm, managed way. This helps capture particles without needing to compress the weave so tightly that breathing becomes a chore. This is another arithmetic of balance, filtration and breath, efficiency and comfort. The room embraces this balance. It keeps humidity in a steady range that discourages electrostatic mischief. It maintains temperatures that avoid extremes and that keep assignments comfortable without drawing attention to themselves. The thermostats and controllers keep working with the patience of librarians who have known their schedules for years. The gentle rhythm continues. You may hear the faint click of a door as a colleague enters through the airlock that separates the clean room from everything else. The door closes with a careful seal. The pressure shifts smoothly to compensate, a small sigh in the ducts that you feel more than hear. The person steps into the laminar flow, gloved hands held in front and slightly upward, forearms parallel and quiet, body centered. Their eyes meet yours, and both of you share the understanding that this calm mutual care is the work itself, not the preface to the work, but the substance that makes everything else possible. The gentle rhythm continues. Sometimes the clean room serves a laboratory that prepares delicate components for satellites or other instruments that will travel through tough environments. Here, the need is more than cleanliness for its own sake. It is a kind of trust that parts will not fail because of stray debris. Elsewhere, the room might host the assembly of devices that listen to the faintest electrical murmurs, where a single tiny particle could bridge 2 points and whisper a false signal. In another place, the room might be where sterile systems are assembled for delivering life's helpful tools. Wherever it is, the emphasis is the same. Calm movements, clean surfaces, quiet air, a steady refusal to let dust tell the story. Instead, people and air and filtered light tell the story together in a comfortable monotone of order. The gentle rhythm continues. One corner of your mind wanders to the larger network that supports this sanctuary. There are return vents beneath grates patterned into the floor or at the base of walls, pulling air with the care of a gardener who prunes a rose bush with tiny scissors. There are ducts where the air flows, insulated and softly rumbling, each turn measured so as not to cause needless turbulence. There are fan filter units humming like polite bees. There are control panels glowing with graphs that move almost imperceptibly, slopes that indicate nothing more dramatic than a steady state preserved. There are maintenance logs written in tidy lines with dates and initials, a chronicle of filters inspected and seals checked, of differential gauges that held within their ranges. All of this infrastructure exists to do something that feels simple when you stand under its care, to keep the air quiet and the counts small. The gentle rhythm continues. Across the workbench, you see tweezers resting on a little pad that keeps them clean. Their tips are aligned perfectly. You pick them up slowly, the metal cool and smooth within the glove. You lift a delicate component and place it into a tray with shallow wells designed to hold it without squeezing or rolling. Each move settles with a soft, satisfying meeting of surfaces, a seal that is more about space and less about force. You label it with a calm hand, your handwriting even, and a little slower than usual, letters standing upright and content. The gentle rhythm continues. It is midday by the clock, though the light does not change in here. Midway in the shift, you notice the pattern of your breath and how the room has asked nothing dramatic of you, only steadiness. You have settled into the math of the place and feel its balance like a soft weight in your chest and shoulders. Still awake, comment the secret word, nebula. After this brief friendly pause, you check the schedule for mask and glove changes. The idea is not urgency but continuity. You step to a designated area, a place at the edge of flow where such things are meant to happen. You remove the gloves slowly, turning them from the wrist and folding them away from your fingers, letting them invert themselves into a small closure. A new pair waits. You feel the first glove slide across your fingertips, the fabric's faint resistance, a sign of its intact surface. Then the second glove, layered again, a smooth reassurance. When you exchange the mask, you do it in a quiet alcove where the air is particularly gentle. The old mask has done its work without complaint. You place it into a designated disposal, lined and tidy. The new mask unfolds, crisp and fine. Once more, a soft press along the bridge of your nose, a comfortable seal along the cheeks, loops settling around your ears like light handshakes. The gentle rhythm continues. In the corner again, the particle counter offers its slow report. The number of counts at half a micron is low and stable. The larger sizes are rarer still. On another display, pressure is slightly positive relative to all neighboring spaces, a small number that means the air continues to flow outward from this room to wherever the hallways may lead. In your mind, you see an arrow always pointing from the clean to the less clean, a gradient that is never reversed. This is the room's quiet constant, a gentle exhale. You may recall the classifications that define how quiet a room should be. One scheme counts allowable particles per unit of air, reducing to smaller numbers as the class becomes stricter. This language is not exciting. It is precise in the way that a list at the grocery store is precise. It prevents you from bringing home unnecessary things. You imagine the classes as songs with fewer notes as they progress, until the melody is almost a single tone held, not silent, but close to the threshold of silence. The gentle rhythm continues. When you open a new package inside the clean room, you do it in stages. There is the outside layer that met the world and carries whatever the day presented. That layer stops at the door or in a staging area. Inside the antechamber, a second layer is opened. It looks almost clean, but the room prefers one more separation. In the clean room, you open the last layer, the one that belongs here. The object is revealed to the quiet air, and the air receives it without ceremony, because the steps have been deliberate and calm. This layered approach is another addition in the arithmetic of control. You can almost hear the ledger keeping track, adding a small, neat tick for each decision that reduced risk. circles again. Wipe once from the center outward, never in circles that bring the edge back inward. Wipe in parallel strokes, like slowly raking sand into a pattern. Replace the wipe sooner than you think you need to, because a new wipe is more help than a tired one, and the value in this room is not thrift of materials, but thrift of particles. Solvent dries quickly and leaves the surface quiet. You pause for a heartbeat to let the last remnants vanish into the steady downward stream. Your hands rest on the edge of the bench, raised slightly, not letting sleeves brush where they are not needed. The gentle rhythm continues. Some materials outgas, releasing faint molecules that drift into the air. The room knows this and manages it, selecting components that are low outgassing by design, plastics that keep their secrets, adhesives that become still after curing and stop whispering, tapes and labels chosen not to crumble or shed, cables with jackets that do not powder as they age. This is the part of the arithmetic that is about choosing the right numbers before you even begin counting. The gentle rhythm continues. You think of movement and the way it shapes air. When you move quickly, eddies form and swirl backward, like tiny whirlpools that carry things where you do not intend. When you move slowly, the laminar flow stays smooth, and particles continue to descend like a soft snowfall that never accumulates on your work. Your body learns this and prefers it. You turn at the waist rather than swinging your arms in an arc that invites the air to dance. You stand evenly, your footsteps placed lightly and predictably, each one becoming part of the choreography that supports the room's tranquil math. The gentle rhythm continues. The idea of a mask can change in this atmosphere. It is not a boundary between you and the world. It is a gentle interface. The fibers are fine enough to touch the invisible, but not dense enough to demand effort. They are charged in ways that help them attract the tiny wanderers who pass by. They do not hold on to moisture forever. They let it go in their own time, and that is why you change them before they become saturated. The nose bridge strip is malleable, sitting softly but securely. There is an ease to it, a willingness to serve the flow rather than fight it. The mask is an instrument in the orchestra of calm, and you are one of the players. The gentle rhythm continues. A little later, you log your progress. Paper is welcome here if it does not shed. Pen strokes are slow and sure. Each entry is clear but without flourish. Letters constructed like small beams in a quiet building. The date, the time, the lot number, the step completed. You initial in a style that is consistent and unhurried. This record keeping is not bureaucratic noise. It is the memory of the room. It is the way the room knows itself and proves that it has been kept well. The gentle rhythm continues. When the time comes for a short break, you are mindful about the arithmetic of exit and return. Leaving requires reversing parts of the small rituals. You step to the antechamber. You remove outer gloves. You touch the handle that will take you one layer outward. You pass into a space where the air is a little less curated, and then a little less beyond that. You take a short stretch and drink some water that tastes like a clear afternoon. Silence continues to be your companion. When you return, the rituals are ready to embrace you again. and you accept them like a rhythm you know by heart. Your body is grateful for the familiarity. Your thoughts drift as your hands perform. The gentle rhythm continues. Sometimes people rotate tasks to keep their attention fresh without jarring the air. Activity and rest are balanced in cycles that respect the length of the shift and the steadiness required. When you assemble, then you test, then you inspect, then you clean. You rotate not with suddenness, but with a guided drift, a cloud shifting shape without breaking. Others join you in this, their movements tuned to the same orchestra, the same metronome of the air. No one is in a hurry. No one is slow enough to invite mistakes. The center is found in each motion. The gentle rhythm continues. The longer you spend in the clean room, the more you notice small sounds. There is the even breath of the fan filter units. There is the softened click of a pump far away, the not quite sound of a light flicking on. There is the faint crinkle of a wrap being opened carefully. There is the whisper of a wipe leaving the surface as you lift it, and the small pat as a container's lid rests in place. You never notice abrupt sounds here. Even alarms are designed not to startle, signaling with an insistent but tempered tone that invites attention rather than grabbing it. You respond, and the sound abates. The gentle rhythm continues. If you look closely, you may see a shimmer in the air where laminar flow meets something it must go around, like the silhouette of your hand or an instrument. The shimmer is not sharp. It is a gradient, a gentleness in transition. Engineers design this with patience, choosing the size of the vents and the spacing of the filters, calculating the air changes per hour so that the room breathes in a measured way. They understand how a room's geometry can create tiny currents, and they minimize those, smoothing the corners, selecting materials that keep this hush comfortable rather than sterile in temperament. The gentle rhythm continues. There are numbers that mark the boundary between the permitted and the unusual in a clean room. Counts above a threshold invite a diagnostic walk. You trace the steps silently in your head. Was a door propped open for a moment longer than usual? Was a new material introduced? Did someone move outside the pattern for a good reason? This is not suspicion. It is curiosity and care. You follow the air backward in your mind, and often the answer is something small that is easily softened. You adjust, and the ledger returns to its preferred line. The gentle rhythm continues. When critical work begins, you may find yourself at a dedicated station, a bench where an additional layer of clean air descends and spills outward like a gentle waterfall. You set tiny pieces in place, aligning edges that meet so smoothly that a seam becomes a pattern rather than a source of friction. The tools you use are chosen for low shedding and low outgassing. They are cleaned ahead of time and inspected under a light that makes even the smallest particle visible if it dares to stray. There is a restraint to everything you do here. Nothing extraneous occurs. Each step leads to the next. You feel as if you are moving along a path that has no bark under your feet, only soft ground and no loose stones. The gentle rhythm continues. Beyond the human scale work, you think about the deep arithmetic that sits inside the air. You imagine that the arrival of particles in a counter is a kind of quiet randomness that has its own statistics. When such a bump happens, you wait and watch, and if it is truly unusual, you adjust and observe the lines settle again, an act of patience that feels like smoothing a bedspread. The gentle rhythm continues. Near the end of a task, you seal what you have assembled. The seal is designed to be strong and simple. If it is a container, its closure presses down evenly. If it is a film, it bonds along a clean seam. If it is a cover, it locks in a way that does not shed. You label it once more, placing the label so it lies flat and calm. The surface across which it adheres is free of oils and dust, because you made sure of that slowly and kindly. Records are updated again. You check that everything is in its place. The tray is moved to a staging area where the air is still friendly, and you take a moment to look around your bench. You see empty wipes packaging ready to be removed, a solvent bottle with its cap replaced, a small box that has given up its contents and now needs to leave. You gather these with unhurried hands, leaving the bench cleaner than when you arrived. The gentle rhythm continues. Clean up in a clean room is itself a quiet craft. You wipe again from the center outward. Fresh wipes, fresh solvent, patient strokes. You inspect under the steady light, not for dramatic discoveries, but for the quiet affirmation that nothing remains that should not remain. You run a finger, gloved and light, along an edge and feel only smoothness. The floor has its own choreography of cleaning, a pattern that covers every square without stepping back where you have just been. Tools go into their homes, where their shapes rest in nests that were made for them. You note the time if the routine calls for it. You record any observations that might help the next shift, like a note left for a friend in a tidy kitchen. The gentle rhythm continues. In another part of the facility, filters are due for inspection. This does not mean drama. It means a person will step into a plenum and look at seals, check for uniform flow, measure pressure drops, and record a series of numbers that become benchmarks for future calm. Filters are replaced on schedules set by experience and guided by real measurements. When a filter is removed, it is handled gingerly and placed where it cannot release what it has captured. When a new filter takes its place, it does so with a smooth seal that returns the system to its whisper. The gentle rhythm continues. Sometimes, when the day is longer, people rotate out of masks to a different kind of task that allows for a break, while others take their place with fresh layers and calm minds. The room notes this in its unwavering way. The counts remain low, the flow remains consistent, the logs remain neat. The shift story is the same kind of story, no matter who is writing it with their hands. This is the sign of a well-told tale. The clean room does not depend on any one person's special tricks. It depends on a posture of gentleness that anyone can learn by presence and patience. The gentle rhythm continues. Later, as you prepare to end your time at the bench, you perform a last check. Tools in place, surfaces wiped, components sealed, logs reviewed. The particle counts on the display are low and uninteresting, which in this realm is the highest compliment. You feel a satisfaction that is not loud. It is the contentment of finishing a slow designated area, gently easing the loops from your ears, letting it leave your face without snapping. Your face feels the air more distinctly, but the air is not harsh, only neutral. You place the mask where it belongs. You pull back the hood. You remove the hair cover, each piece folding in on itself like the ending pages of a book that you will soon read again. The coverall unzips with a soft sound, the fabric sliding against itself with the hush of well-behaved materials. Booties come off last. Your shoes meet a surface that is still clean. You step onto the last sticky mat with a small sense of symmetry. The gentle rhythm continues. Outside the door, the corridor seems a little different, only because your senses have been attuned to a soft world, and the wider world is more variable. You can return to it gently. You notice the slight texture of the air outside as it brushes your skin. You hear a fainter, rougher hum from a distant air handler. Even this feels fine now, because the room's calm has followed you. It has settled into your pacing and your breathing. The gentle rhythm continues in your steps down the hallway, in the way your shoulders rest, in the way your eyes take in light without strain. If you think back on the shift, you can count its numbers as if they were beads, gloves replaced on schedule, wipes used and discarded responsibly, records made in tidy script, filters that breathed hours of quiet flow, particle counts that rose and fell like a tide with a small amplitude, never crashing, always returning. A handful of tasks completed exactly as designed, with no extra flair needed. The arithmetic is simple, small additions all day long, small subtractions of risk, and in the end, a sum that equals calm. The gentle rhythm continues. There is a poetry to the way masks and dust meet in this place. Imagine the mask as a delicate forest, and dust as curious creatures passing through. Some alight on leaves and remain. Some drift past and turn back, not finding a path, eventually settling elsewhere that is safe. The forest is replaced on a timing that keeps the trees evergreen. Nothing overgrows, nothing becomes brittle. The breeze continues. The creatures that must not visit certain clearings never arrive. This fable plays out over hours and days, and the result is simply that tasks become possible that would otherwise be crowded out by noise. The gentle rhythm continues. In another perspective, you might imagine yourself as one moving coordinate in a slow-moving fluid. Your actions are boundary conditions for how air drifts and arranges itself. You limit sudden changes so the air does not tear or tumble. You align your shape with the flow, and the air responds by skirting around you with minimal fuss. The mathematics of this can be complicated on paper, but in the room it is felt rather than computed. The right angles between benches and vents, the distances between filters and work surfaces, the pressures across doors, all work together so you can simply be present without calculation. The gentle rhythm continues. If you return tomorrow, the rituals will greet you like familiar steps on a quiet path. You will feel the same faint pull of the sticky mat, the same soft acceptance of the mask along your cheek. how restful it is to dwell on something so subtle. The world beyond can be loud, but the clean room is content with small victories, keeping dust away from a sensor that listens to starlight, keeping fibers from landing where a drop may form, keeping breath from leaving a signature where only quiet is needed. The room is not fighting anything. It is not a battle. It is a negotiation with air, a promise kept by filters and by your calm composure. The gentle rhythm continues. At the very end of the shift, after you have left and changed and found the temperature of the world again, you can still feel the residual smoothness in your mind. The arithmetic of dust and masks is not only technique, it is also a way of noticing. You notice the small grain on a tabletop and brush it away with 2 fingers. You notice the way your breath fogs a window only slightly. You notice that closing a door softly feels better than letting it meet the frame with a hard sound. You notice how, with a little care, many things in life respond by becoming easier. The gentle rhythm continues, and there is something soothing about that. Imagine now that you are settling into sleep. Your bed is its own clean room in miniature, a place where the air feels like a blanket. The sheets are smooth. The light is dim. You have nothing more to assemble tonight. You have no logs to update. Your work is complete in the best possible way, which is to say that it did what it needed to do without asking much energy from your nerves. Your breath becomes the softest breeze in the room, and if you were wearing a mask, it would lift and fall without a hint of struggle. The arithmetic of the day begins to sum to rest. The gentle rhythm continues. Drift, with the thought of laminar flow, of gentle currents carrying everything that should be carried and leaving everything else behind. Drift with the polished surfaces, with the silent counting of tiny motes that remain so few that the counters yawn and blink almost lazily. Drift with the memory of careful steps over a sticky mat, the echo of a zipper that never snagged, the steady light that never flickered, the calm faces that never frowned. Drift with a held breath that becomes a release, with a door that closes like a whisper, with the small click of a cap that seals a bottle in one smooth motion. The gentle rhythm continues. As you rest, you can keep in mind that the science you visited tonight is never in a hurry. It values the slow, measured approach. It tolerates no drama because it does not need any. Its success is a steady line, a clean graph traced across days and months, each point almost identical to the last. In that consistency, there is safety and comfort. In that comfort, there is the possibility to do things that would be impossible in a noisier place. Dust is quieted. Masks whisper their service. Air learns how to lay itself down in layers. The gentle rhythm continues. If you enjoyed this little journey through a shift in a clean room and the slow arithmetic that keeps its promises, you are welcome to return whenever you like. You can subscribe and leave a like so we can keep releasing these soft explorations on a regular, reliable cadence, and you can float gently as a laminar stream.